Could a war be lost not on the battlefield but in the unseen race for technology? From the very first day, Russia was set to fail in its attempt to subdue Ukraine. Neither Vladimir Putin nor many in the West realized the silent advantage simmering beneath the surface, a secret weapon far more powerful than tanks or artillery. This hidden edge transformed what was expected to be a swift conquest into a grueling fight stretching beyond 3 years. But what is this secret? The answer lies in technology, or more precisely, Ukraine's ability to outpace Russia in innovation. Experts like Paul Warburg have pointed out that Ukraine's strength isn't just about support from Western allies. The difference runs deeper, right into how each country's society functions and how they strategize warfare. Ukraine's dynamic, adaptable society fuels rapid innovations that Russia simply cannot match. Each day, Ukrainian forces grow stronger technologically, while Russia's capabilities erode steadily. The gap isn't a small one anymore, it's a chasm Russia can't bridge. Look at the Flamingo. At first glance, it might seem like just another missile, similar to the cruise missiles Russia has been firing into Ukraine. But appearances deceive. The Flamingo is a revolutionary hybrid, a fusion of drone, missile, and penetrator bomb. It carries the shock of years of relentless experimentation and innovation. It can travel nearly 3,000 kilometers, penetrating deep into Russian territory with a payload weighing over a ton. This weapon echoes Ukraine's leap into a new class of technology, combining everything learned in drone warfare during the conflict. How did Ukraine produce such an advanced weapon while Russia lags behind? It's not just the technology itself, but the freedom that allows Ukrainian innovators to experiment, to tinker without fear or stifling control. Unlike the tightly controlled Russian military industry, Ukraine's approach is open, experimental, and adaptive. This has given birth to weapons that redefine warfare, weapons Russia might never hope to replicate. But the story doesn't end with the Flamingo. Ukraine's ingenuity extends beyond this single marvel. Faced with waves of Russian long-range drone attacks, Ukraine created cheap interceptor drones costing about $1,000 each. These interceptors don't just stop incoming threats, they blunt the financial muscle behind Russia's assault. When Russia pours thousands of expensive drones into the battle, Ukraine's inexpensive interceptors knock them down, and drain Russian resources in the process. The contrast couldn't be starker. Russia relies on what it already knows, making slight adjustments, such as converting old bombs with glide technology. But these efforts pale beside Ukraine's relentless drive to adapt and overcome. Every new threat is met with a new solution crafted on home soil. Ukraine's emerging technological edge reflects a deeper societal shift, the power of openness and inclusivity versus rigid central control. As dusk settles on the battlefield, the hum of drones invading the Ukrainian sky is met by a swarm of interceptors rising up in defense. A silent war is raging, one of ingenuity versus stagnation. Could it be that the real front line isn't drawn in trenches, but in labs and workshops buzzing with ideas? The question remains, how long will Russia's old strategies hold up against this new wave of innovation? And what happens next when the next Ukrainian breakthrough shatters Russia's hope of regaining the upper hand? Ukraine initiated Project Octopus, a groundbreaking strategy set to produce thousands of interceptor drones each month. This ambitious plan ensures that Ukraine will amass an extensive arsenal of drones, tailored to effectively counter the Shahid-type drones deployed by Russia. The vision extends to a remarkable goal, deploying 1,000 interceptors daily to thwart Russian strikes. Ukraine identifies challenges and swiftly implements solutions. Moreover, Ukraine is at the forefront of developing AI-powered drones. This innovative approach addresses the manpower gap between Ukraine and Russia. Recently, Ukraine showcased a historic achievement, using AI-controlled drone swarms in combat. These drones operate independently, allowing Ukrainian soldiers to avoid direct danger, as they seek and eliminate Russian forces with minimal human intervention. While Russia's strategy has relied on its numerical superiority, Ukraine cleverly flips the script with technology. These advancements may not mirror the revolutionary leap of the first intercontinental ballistic missile, but they define a new approach to warfare. Crucially, it's not merely the technology that grants Ukraine an edge, it's the ingenious application of these innovations in critical situations, as highlighted by Warburg. Technologies like the Flamingo and the Interceptor drones may not appear groundbreaking at first, but their tactical implementation marks a significant evolution in combat. In a stark comparison, Russia is lagging behind in innovation, while superficially matching some of Ukraine's advancements. The broader scope reveals a lack of genuine creativity. Increasingly, it seems that Russia's military efforts hinge on adapting older technology rather than pursuing new developments. Could this relentless pursuit of the familiar spell doom for Russia as the war evolves? The heart of the battle between Ukraine and Russia lies not just on the physical front but in the very fabric of their societies. While Ukraine forges ahead with innovation, Russia finds itself shackled by its centralized system. In a striking analysis by a prominent think tank, it becomes clear that three key factors have left Russia languishing behind in the technological race. First, Russian policies that favor domestic supply chains limit access to diverse markets, impeding growth and innovation. This insularity stifles creativity and adaptation, crucial elements in a rapidly evolving landscape of warfare. Meanwhile, the standard of education, especially in the sciences, has declined significantly, creating a gap between what Russia needs and what it can actually produce. Compounding these issues are the sanctions imposed even before the current conflict escalated, which restricted Russia's ability to incorporate international technology into its military advancements. But perhaps the most insidious barrier to innovation in Russia is the influence of its oligarchs. These extraordinarily wealthy individuals operate like a shadowy cartel, extracting wealth from the very innovations that could elevate Russia. According to an expert, many Russians fear that success might attract the attention of these powerful figures, leading to a heavy-handed demand for a slice of their potential triumphs. Imagine living in a city where a mafia controls the very essence of opportunity. Would you dare to innovate? Or would you embrace a safer, low-risk job, avoiding the spotlight? The dilemma faced by potential innovators in Russia is stark, forcing many to choose the path of mediocrity over greatness. In stark contrast, Ukraine welcomes creativity. The country's Win-Win 2030 strategy serves as a beacon of societal advancement, aimed at harnessing every citizen's potential. As Ukraine pushes forward, its people are empowered and rewarded for their ingenuity. This cultural difference signifies a decisive advantage that extends far beyond the battlefield. The question remains, can Russia overcome these entrenched obstacles, or is its fate sealed by a system that suppresses the very innovation it desperately needs? In the coming sections, we'll delve deeper into how Ukraine's innovations are not just reshaping the conflict but redefining the very nature of warfare itself. Stay tuned to explore the groundbreaking strides Ukraine is making against Russia's antiquated methods. We saw how Ukraine's societal setup fuels innovation, with programs like the Win-Win 2030 strategy empowering entrepreneurs. A mind-blowing contrast emerges when we glimpse into Russia's stifled creativity. But what if I told you the real game-changer isn't just ideas, it's freedom slamming shut on one side and bursting open on the other? Picture the icy winds whipping across steppe battlefields, the distant hum of enemy drones slicing through the air, a tangible chill on your skin as threats loom. Shudder at this, Russia's crippling societal chains keep it chained in the past. Why would innovators risk it all, only to hand over their brilliance to oligarchs or the state? The stench of corruption hangs heavy in the air. Under Ukraine's Win-Win 2030 plan, creators grab global markets and tech support. They shield ideas, sell them fairly. No state grabs everything. Russian counterparts? They demand property rights, leaving inventors scrambling for scraps. Feel the grit of forgotten dreams crushed under boots. Could Putin ever turn the tide? Against others, Russia's ways worked. But Ukraine? It dances ahead, morphing like a shadow, granting minds room to brew weapons that shatter foes. Hear the roar of interceptors soaring, the crunch of drone collisions. Sense the sweat of coders racing against the clock. This isn't mere tech. It's adaptation as an art form. Ukraine doesn't crush Russia entirely. It erodes, step by vicious step, tech superiority bleeding the enemy dry. Feel the exhaustion in Russia's veins, the silent drain of resources. Proof? Glance at their fuel fiasco. Desperate Putin begs Belarus. Ukraine strikes severing every supply line. Smell the acrid smoke of refineries aflame, the desperate scramble for drops. Imagine the humiliation, a superpower reduced to scrounging, while Ukraine's swarms buzz on, undefeated. Is this the collapse we've dreaded? Or a twist where innovation flips empires? Tune in as we expose more edges Ukraine wields, against a crumbling giant begging for mercy. The battlefield whispers change. Can Russia claw back, or is oblivion inevitable? Hard to imagine when oligarchs feast while soldiers starve. Twist: what if Ukraine's AI herds destroy Russia's brute force, but a hidden Russian ace emerges? Stay tuned. In the shadow of conflict, a battle unfolds not just over land, but over the very essence of innovation. Ukraine, once underestimated, has proven to be a formidable adversary against Russia. As warfare in this region drags on longer than anyone expected, it's become clear, technological superiority, rather than sheer numbers, reigns supreme. The situation presents a reality that could shock us all. Could this be the turning point in which a nation redefines what it means to innovate in the face of adversity? Imagine this: a small drone, costing around $1,000, embarks on a mission. Equipped with a warhead, it's ready to be launched into the sky. It's not just any drone, it's a game-changer for Ukraine against the expensive Shahid drones that Russia deploys at a staggering cost, 20 to 70 times more than its own. The economics of this conflict illustrate a broader narrative, where ingenuity meets necessity. As Ukraine faces relentless drone assaults, these interceptors become a beacon of hope, a mark of resilience that capitalizes on cost-effective warfare. But there's a twist. This isn't simply a matter of defense, it's a clever strategy aimed at financial attrition. By forcing Russia to expend vast resources on their expensive drones, Ukraine effectively drains its enemy's finances. What does this mean in the long haul? As expert Paul Warburg suggests, Ukraine is setting the stage for a slow, relentless victory. The question arises: can Russia sustain its costly approach against a nation that finds ingenious solutions at every turn? This narrative transcends mere tactics in battle. Ukraine's adaptability is reshaping the very character of modern warfare. Observed experts like Mick Ryan assert that Ukraine has merged technology with strategic information sharing in ways that catch Russia off guard. Imagine a battlefield buzzing with drones, controlled not just by the naked eye but empowered by artificial intelligence, seamlessly integrating vast streams of information. While Ukraine embraces a culture of transparency and collaboration, Russia's repressive measures stifle innovation. Does this divide between openness and suppression hold the key to victory? To delve deeper into this unfolding saga, consider how these technological strategies are creating new dynamics on the battlefield. Ukraine not only solves its immediate challenges directly but shapes the course of the conflict economically and technologically. As the dust settles and the drones were above, one truth stands out: in this war of attrition, the landscape is shifting, and Ukraine's innovative spirit may very well define the outcome of this enduring struggle. What will be the next move in this high-stakes game? Imagine starting off every day with the roar of Shahid drones buzzing overhead like angry hornets, their vibrations rattling windows and stirring dust in the air, a constant hum that chills the blood. Can you picture Russia's iron grip choking off even the whispers of truth? That's the ugly reality hitting home now. Russia clamps down on internet access in areas hit by Ukraine's deep strikes, because knowledge is their enemy. If ordinary Russians can't glimpse the threats bombarding them, how on earth can they dream up fixes amid the chaos? This stark divide highlights the clash between open societies and dictatorship, fueling Ukraine's edge in tech innovation. Information flows freely in Ukraine, empowering everyone to pitch in ideas via any means to bolster the fight. It's as vital as the fresh, crisp breaths innovators take in a liberated land, where creativity sparks like fireworks in the night sky. Yet in Russia, that same spark is smothered, suffocated under layers of control. No wonder the Kremlin can't innovate fast enough. Think about the war's dawn, when Ukraine unleashed drones against Russian armor for the first time. Mockery erupted from Moscow, laughing off those buzzing machines as toys. Waves of tanks thundered forward anyway, grinding earth under treads that smelled of gunpowder and fear. But history handed Russia a brutal lesson: over 1 million soldiers lost, more than 11,200 tanks shattered into twisted metal husks, almost 23,300 armored vehicles gone in puffs of smoke and fire. Now, no armored charge dares face a drone swarm. That mocking echo haunts them still. Desperate to catch up, Russia imitates Ukraine's tactics after dismissing them, but the delay is fatal. The tech gap widens like a canyon swallowing light, cycle by cycle of Ukraine's inventions clashing with Russia's pale copies. Here's the twist that turns stomachs: each clique of innovation widens the technological wedges between these foes, building toward a disaster that could shatter Russia's ambitions completely. Ukraine's interceptor drones, those nimble defenders zooming through the air with the whisper of cheap plastic wings, exemplify this doom. Picture them intercepting Shahids in midair, explosions blooming like crimson flowers against the gray horizon, a sensory feast of victory for Ukraine, a nightmare of futility for invaders. But what if Russia's failings are just the prelude to an unforeseen collapse, one that redraws the world's battle lines forever? Can you believe Russia, with all its might, is failing not from bullets or bombs, but from outdated ideas, choking under a regime that stifles creativity like iron chains in a frozen Siberian wasteland? We explored how Ukraine's free society unleashes innovators to outpace Russia, rewarding problem solvers with sparkling possibilities, while Putin's centralized grip punishes bold thinkers before they even begin. This stark contrast is why Ukraine surges forward, turning battlefield dangers into triumphs of ingenuity. In that chilling memory, I recall the echo of distant explosions rumbling like thunder through the earth, the acrid stench of smoke lingering in the air as Shahid drones hummed overhead, their shadows casting dread across the night sky. Russia bombarded Ukraine with relentless swarms, flooding the defenses with waves of unmanned attackers. Ukraine faced this brutal offensive, where September alone saw Russia unleashing 5,636 drones, a 39% spike from the month before, though short of the monstrous 6,443 in July 2025. Imagine the chaos: thousands of buzzing invaders per month, straining every nerve and resource. But Ukraine didn't despair. It crafted interceptor drones, simple yet deadly efficient. Picture a compact marvel costing just $1,000, armed with an affordable payload, slamming into Shahid drones that Russia built for 20 to 70 times more. The tactile clash feels visceral, the crunch of collision, the flare of impact searing against the cold void. These guardians are affordable magic, cheaply produced to shatter Russia's horde. What if Russia's wallet is emptying faster than its drone stocks? Will this economic drain force a humiliating retreat, exposing the dictator's house of cards crumbling under its own weight? Ukraine's interceptors directly neutralize Russia's Shahid threats, but there's a cunning twist: they bleed Russia's coffers dry. By forcing failed strikes at such disparity, Ukraine turns the tide financially, each cheap victory wearing down the aggressor's resolve like relentless tides eroding a crumbling cliff. The societal divide explains it all. How can a society that crushes originality compete with one that nurtures it? As Warburg warns, inclusive governments foster game-changing ideas, while authoritarian regimes stumble in stagnation. Feel the rush: activists in Ukraine tinker freely, rewarded for brilliance, their workshops alive with energy, motors whirring, sparks flying, the scent of solder and sweat in the air. Contrast Russia's rigid command: ideas strangled by decree, no room for the spark. Why does Russia's elite hoard power, dooming itself to irrelevance? Prepare for the reveal when we dissect why even Russia's top engineers falter, their outdated copies versus Ukraine's bold leaps leaving them stranded in the dust. From a simple idea to a game-changing force on the battlefield, Ukraine's ingenious weapon development has taken the world by surprise. Meet the Flamingo, an innovative hybrid that blends the capabilities of a drone and a cruise missile, designed to strike deep into enemy territory. This weapon, capable of soaring 3,000 kilometers, about 1,860 miles, while carrying over a ton of explosive payload, has been meticulously crafted by Ukrainian minds unshackled by rigid hierarchies. But how did it evolve into something that Russia could never conceive? As the war escalated, Ukraine's necessity gave rise to its creativity. Armed with lessons from early confrontations, the Flamingo emerged not just as an answer to military challenges, but as a symbol of Ukraine's unwavering adaptability. While Russia relied on outdated tactics, Ukraine innovated, introducing sophisticated long-range strikes into its arsenal. Unable to effectively deploy Western missiles due to prior restrictions, the creation of the Flamingo was a stroke of brilliance. It assured Ukraine the freedom to strike back, unhindered by external limitations. Now consider the interceptor drones, another marvel born from strategic necessity. Costing merely $1,000 each, these drones were designed explicitly to counter Russia's relentless aerial assaults. Imagine hundreds of drones raining down from the sky, and with just a single unit, Ukraine could intercept a target that cost Russia many times more to produce. With the UK's support for Project Octopus, Ukraine anticipates scaling up production to thousands each month, potentially creating a vast arsenal of interceptors to disrupt Russian operations. These adaptations spotlight a glaring difference between the two countries, where Russia stagnates, Ukraine flourishes. While Russia may try to replicate Ukrainian advancements, their approach lacks the ingenious flair that makes Ukraine's weapons not just tools of warfare, but beacons of hope. And as the conflict rages on, one question looms large: how will Russia respond in the face of such relentless innovation? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the very fabric that underpins this technological clash, a battle not merely of arms, but of ideas and spirit. The contrast highlights an essential truth: in a world driven by innovation, adaptability is key. And for Ukraine, every challenge transforms into a stepping stone, pushing them closer to victory. A stunning reality looms over the ongoing conflict: the technological divide has never been more evident. Ukraine, against all odds, is redefining warfare with its innovative approaches, while Russia, a giant in numbers, finds itself grappling with a substantial disadvantage. The battle isn't just about brute force, it's a clash of ideologies, strategies, and creativity. Imagine this: a small drone costing around $1,000 becomes a formidable weapon. It can be equipped with an inexpensive warhead to intercept drones costing up to 70 times more. This stark contrast in resources amplifies the tension. Each time a Shahid-type drone is taken down, it isn't merely a loss for Russia, it becomes a crippling financial hit, draining resources faster than they can replenish them. How can Russia sustain a war when every strike costs them dearly, one might ponder. It's an unsustainable cycle that Ukraine is determined to exploit. Furthermore, these interceptors serve a dual purpose. They stand as a bulwark against overwhelming Russian drone assaults while simultaneously undermining Russia's financial stability. With each failed Russian strike, the costs escalate, cementing Ukraine's position in a war of attrition. As Paul Warburg insightfully remarks, this is allowing Ukraine to outlast Russia in a battle of resources. With each adaptation, Ukraine isn't just surviving, it is thriving, flipping the script of this war on its head. The implications of this transformation extend far beyond just drone warfare. Experts like Mick Ryan assert that Ukraine has redefined modern combat. The integration of technological advancements transcends traditional tactics, he notes. AI systems are not only improving drone efficacy but are reshaping the battlefield through shared intelligence. This shift highlights a critical divide between the two nations: the free exchange of ideas versus oppressive control over information. While Ukraine promotes collaboration and encourages every citizen to contribute to the war effort, Russia's regime silences dissent and stifles innovation. How can a nation, shackled by fear and repression, hope to compete with a society that thrives on creativity and inclusion? As Ukraine continues to harness this power of adaptability, the question remains: can Russia adapt in time to reclaim its lost edge, or is it simply reactive, doomed to replicate what Ukraine has already achieved? With escalating challenges ahead, the clock is ticking. In this war of attrition, Ukraine's resourcefulness could hold the key to a surprise victory. In a war marked by staggering contrasts, the narrative of the conflict between Ukraine and Russia reveals startling insights into the battle of ideologies, innovation, and survival. From the moment Vladimir Putin initiated his invasion, Ukraine found itself confronted with an overwhelming force, yet an invisible advantage loomed large on the horizon: technological superiority. This advantage, often unnoticed, has grown more apparent as the war dragged on, defying expectations and illustrating how innovation can flourish even under the direst of circumstances. In an astonishing twist, Ukraine's resilience doesn't merely stem from Western support. Instead, it evolves from the very essence of how each nation cultivates creativity and adapts to evolving warfare challenges. As Paul Warburg astutely noted, while Russia continues to weaken daily, Ukraine's strength is magnifying, especially in terms of technology. Consider the Flamingo, a revolutionary weapon system. On the surface, it resembles Russia's cruise missiles. Yet it's far from ordinary, a hybrid drone delivering precision strikes over 3,000 kilometers. This is not merely the result of foreign assistance, it's birthed from a culture that encourages innovation from the ground up, allowing inventive minds to thrive without restrictions. Imagine a society where inventors can explore, experiment, and capitalize on their ideas. Unlike Russia, where bureaucracy suffocates creativity, Ukraine's innovators have built sophisticated solutions aimed at overcoming specific challenges. The design and deployment of interceptor drones exemplify this spirit. For a mere $1,000 each, these drones neutralize Russian drone assaults, proving that sometimes, the solution lies in simplicity and efficiency rather than sheer firepower. Yet, while Ukraine adapts and evolves, Russia stagnates. Its attempts to innovate are often replicas of outdated strategies. For instance, Russia's glide bombs represent a minor leap rather than a groundbreaking advancement. Their reliance on previous models signifies a national pattern, where innovation is secondary to preserving existing power structures. As Warburg explained, Russian society's centralized government stifles ingenuity, creating a reliance on outdated technologies and a workforce disincentivized to innovate. As September 2025 showcased a staggering 5,636 drone assaults from Russia against Ukraine, the desperation intensifies. Ukrainian interceptors, though humble in design, counter this onslaught effectively, thwarting the cascade of escalating attacks. They embody the spirit of adaptation and resourcefulness. They not only defend but also force Russia to squander its resources in futile engagements. It's a stark reminder of the resilience born of adversity. Ukraine's war innovation isn't merely a weapon, each drone speaks to a society's will to survive, conquer, and reclaim its narrative against the tides of oppression. As we move forward, keep your eyes peeled for the unexpected resolve of a nation defying the odds and redefining the battlefield. Isn't it fascinating how in this modern era, the fate of nations could hinge upon the spirit of innovation and the courage to adapt? Can you imagine the irony of a colossal power like Russia faltering, not from fierce conflict, but from the shackles of outdated thinking? It's a suffocating grip, as if the very air is thickened by iron chains in a desolate winter wasteland. In stark contrast, Ukraine thrives as a beacon of innovation, where the ambitions of the people are unleashed, rewarded for their daring ideas and solutions. In Russia, however, the prevailing regime stifles creativity before it can even bloom. This is the essence of Ukraine's remarkable ascendancy. It transforms peril into ingenious triumph. Picture the memory vividly: distant explosions rumble, echoing like ominous thunder through the earth. The acrid scent of smoke fills the air while Shahid drones drone relentlessly overhead, casting shadowy fears across a night bathed in chaos. September was a particularly brutal month, with Russia unleashing a staggering 5,636 drones, an alarming 39% increase from the prior month, though still short of the monstrous 6,443 it launched in July 2025. How terrifying it must have felt, thousands of these buzzing invaders attacking one after the other, stretching Ukraine's defenses to their limit. But instead of capitulating, Ukraine unearthed a brilliant solution: interceptor drones, simple yet startlingly effective. Imagine a compact Guardian, costing just around $1,000, equipped with an affordable payload that can strike down the expensive Shahid drones, which can cost up to 70 times more to produce. The tactile surge of energy is palpable, the shattering impact followed by the fiery explosion against the chill of the night sky. Each unit serves as durable magic, economically manufactured to dismantle Russia's aerial horde. What if the true cost wasn't just in dollars, but in the very spirit that drives warfare? As these affordable drones whittle down Russia's financial resources, could they force a humiliating retreat? What if each failure caused by these cheap interceptors became an economic wound, leaving behind a trail of overturned ambitions akin to relentless waves carving into a crumbling cliff? This societal disjunction underpins it all. How can a repressive environment compete against a culture that nurtures creativity? As Paul Warburg points out, inclusive governments ignite transformational ideas, while oppressive regimes mired in stagnation fall short. Imagine the vibrant hum of innovation in Ukrainian workshops where activists tinker freely, engines whirring, sparks flying, a mix of sweat and gasoline igniting creativity. Now picture the contrast: Russia's command structure, ideas choked by directive, leaving no space for brilliance. As we dig deeper, we anticipate a striking revelation. What prevents even the best Russian engineers from advancing? Why do their outdated imitations fall hopelessly behind Ukraine's daring advancements? Prepare for unexpected twists that will challenge everything we think about innovation, creativity, and the future of warfare in this evolving narrative. In the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, a stark technological divide is emerging, one that favors Ukraine and signals potential disaster for Russia. According to analysts, each cycle of innovation Ukraine implements pushes the two nations further apart, and we are on the brink of a catastrophic disparity. Consider Ukraine's interceptor drones. These advanced technologies, already proven in combat, are ramping up into mass production with support from allies. In contrast, Russia's attempts to replicate this success fall woefully short. Reports indicate that the only Russian interceptors on display are merely prototypes, paraded as novelties, and not ready for the battlefield. This gap not only accentuates Ukraine's advantages but also intensifies the challenges Russia faces as it struggles to defend its airspace from long-range drone strikes. In recent months, Ukraine has updated its strategy to mass assault Russia's oil refineries, overcoming the earlier pattern of isolated attacks. This approach has led to staggering results. Approximately 40% of Russia's refining capacity has been severely crippled by those drone strikes. Imagine the pounding sound of relentless assaults echoing through once bustling industrial areas, the thick, pungent smell of burning debris filling the air. With Russia trapped in its attempts to catch up, Ukraine is on a path where it can cripple Russian infrastructure almost to the point of no return. But history teaches us that innovation is the key to survival, and Ukraine's progression mirrors that of the US during the Cold War. Back then, it was America's relentless drive for innovation, exemplified by Texas Instruments' development of integrated circuit technology, that positioned the US at an advantage. This led to advancements, such as the Minuteman II intercontinental ballistic missile, a groundbreaking leap that changed the balance of power. Just like that moment, today's strategic technological developments could define the future of warfare. As echoes of the past remind us, will Russia once again find itself playing catch-up to its more resourceful opponent? What happens when innovation meets desperation? The stakes have never been higher.